All right, hello everyone. So today we're going to dive into one of the most fundamental strategies in all of Chinese herbal medicine, releasing the exterior. This is really all about understanding the body's very first line of defense when it comes under attack. I want you to think of it like the art of defending a fortress. We're going to learn how to skillfully support the body's own brilliant initial response to an outside challenge. Let's get started.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to build a really clear, intuitive mental model for this whole category of formulas. We'll kick things off by understanding the body's outer defenses. Then, we'll look at what happens when those defenses get attacked, and, just as important, how we identify who the attacker is. After that, we'll meet the herbal formulas we use, our reinforcements, if you will. And finally, we'll wrap up with the core strategy you're going to use in your clinical practice for years to come. So, to really get this concept, I want you to start by picturing the body as a kind of fortress. Seriously, the principles of defense are pretty universal, and this analogy is going to serve us really well as we go through all of this material.
We've all felt it, right? That little tickle in the throat, the sudden chill you can't shake, that feeling that something is just off. Well, in Chinese medicine, this isn't just some vague feeling. It's the sign of a very specific battle that's just beginning at the outermost gates of our body.
So the first term we absolutely have to define is the exterior. In Chinese, it's biao, and it just refers to the most superficial layers of our body. We're talking about the skin and the muscle layer right underneath it. In our fortress analogy, this is it. This is the great outer wall, our first point of contact with everything in the outside world.
Now, what's really cool is thinking about who's patrolling these walls. See, patrolling the exterior is a specific type of energy we call wei qi, or protective qi. I want you to think of the wei qi as these vigilant, tireless guards of the fortress. It's naturally warm, it's dynamic, and its main job is to circulate just under the skin, keeping our body warm and, most importantly, defending us against any external pathogenic influences that try to get in.
Okay, so we've got our fortress and we've got our guards. Now let's see what happens when that fortress actually comes under attack. In Chinese medicine, we usually describe these invaders as pathogenic factors, and the most common ones are going to be wind cold or wind heat.
This slide illustrates the difference perfectly. When we're healthy, the wei qi is flowing smoothly along the walls, and the pores, the little gates of our fortress, they open and close just right. But when a pathogen, like wind-cold attacks, it creates a blockage. It's like a traffic jam right at the surface that obstructs the flow of our guards and literally traps the pathogen in that exterior layer.
And this battle unfolds in 4 pretty clear steps. First, the pathogen gets in. Second, the flow of our protective wei qi gets blocked. Third, the body fights back. It sends even more wei qi to the surface to fight the enemy. And this right here is the crucial point. The classic symptoms we feel are a direct result of this fight. The chills, they happen because the blocked wei qi can't warm the surface anymore. And the fever, that's all that qi gathering to fight, which generates heat. It all makes sense when you see it this way.
So if the enemy is trapped at the gates, how do we help our body win this thing? Well, our main strategy is to induce a light, therapeutic sweat. This method, it's called Han Fa in Chinese, and it's designed to open the pores, essentially to throw open the fortress gates just long enough for us to push that invader out.
The importance of this strategy, it really can't be overstated. In the classical texts, inducing a sweat is listed as the number 1 of the 8 great methods of treatment in all of Chinese medicine. That's a huge deal. It really highlights this core principle of always dealing with an external threat first, before it ever has a chance to go deeper into the body.
But, and I want to be crystal clear about this, the goal is not just to make someone sweat buckets. The goal is to gently assist the body's own defense system to restore order. We're looking for a light sheen of perspiration, just enough to tell us that the blockage has been released. Pushing for excessive sweating is actually counterproductive. It can seriously weaken the patient by draining their precious qi and fluids. Remember, it's about strategy, not brute force.
A good general never uses the same tactic for every single battle. Success always depends on having accurate intelligence. So before we can pick the right herbal formula, we have to correctly identify the nature of the invading pathogen. Is it cold or is it heat?
For the most part, we can differentiate these exterior attacks into 3 main patterns. First up, we've got a wind-cold attack. This is where the chills are way worse than the fever, and the cold has kind of clamped the pores shut so there's no sweat. For that, we use warm, spicy herbs. Second is a wind-heat attack, with more fever, a sore throat, maybe some thirst. For this, we'll need cooling herbs. And third is this more complex pattern where an external attack hits someone who is already weak or deficient. Here you'll see signs like fatigue or sweating that just doesn't bring any relief. In this case, our strategy has to do two things: expel the pathogen and support the patient's own energy.
Okay, so now that we can identify the enemy, it's time to call in our reinforcements. Let's take a look at 5 foundational formulas. I want you to think of each one as a highly specialized unit, perfectly designed for a very specific battlefield scenario. Let's take our time with these, because really understanding them is key.
First up is the really elegant Gui Zhi Tang. This formula is for a wind-cold attack where the fortress defenses are, well, they're uncoordinated. The key sign here is that the patient is sweating, but it's this weak, leaky sweat that doesn't help the chills at all. So why is that? It's because the guards, our Wei Qi, and the internal supplies, the Ying Qi, are totally out of sync. The genius of this formula, led by its commander herb Gui Zhi, is that it doesn't just force the sweat. Gui Zhi helps push out the cold, sure, but it also harmonizes the Wei and Ying Qi, bringing them back into relationship so they can produce one single, effective, therapeutic sweat that really kicks the pathogen out.
Next, we have Sang Ju Yin. This is our go-to for a very gentle, very early-stage wind-heat invasion. Think of it as a light skirmish. The main symptom is going to be a cough with just a slight fever. The commander here is Sangye, or mulberry leaf. So what makes it so perfect for this? Well, Sangye is light, it's a little sweet, and it's cooling. It doesn't use brute force. Instead, its whole strategy is to gently disperse the heat and, crucially, to soothe and moisten the lungs, which directly takes care of that cough. It's a very precise and gentle approach.
Now, for a more aggressive wind-heat attack, we bring in the heavy hitter, Yin Qiao San. The key signs here are much more intense. We're talking a significant fever and a really severe sore throat. That sore throat is your big clue that there's an element of what we call heat-toxin. This needs a much stronger response. The formula is commanded by Jin Yin Hua and Lian Qiao. That's Honeysuckle and Forsythia. Why them? Because they are powerfully cooling and they are fantastic at clearing that specific toxic heat from the throat and upper body. This isn't a gentle dispersal. This is a direct clearing action.
Here we have a more complex scenario.柴葛解肌汤is for when an unresolved wind-cold invasion gets trapped and starts to fester. It begins to transform, generating heat in the muscle layer. The hallmark signs here are a stiff neck and upper back, along with an increasing fever. This formula is brilliant because it's designed for a two-front war. Its commanders, Chaihu and Gogen, work together as a team. Chaihu vents the pathogen from the exterior. At the exact same time, Gogen is amazing at relaxing those tight muscles in the neck and back while also clearing out that newly generated internal heat. It fights both battles at once.
And finally, we have Renshen by Dusan. So what do you do when the fortress was already weak before the attack even started? This formula is the answer. It's for a patient who is already qi deficient when they get hit by a wind, cold, damp pathogen. It's commanded by Qiang Huo, a fantastic herb that strongly releases the exterior. But, and this is its unique genius, it also includes Renshen, ginseng, to powerfully support the patient's own righteous qi. This makes sure that the strong expelling action doesn't weaken an already weak patient. It fights the invader while simultaneously reinforcing the fortress walls.
So, we've covered the fortress, the attack, the diagnosis, and our reinforcements. Let's just wrap up with the most important strategic mindset that I want you to take away from this whole introduction.
Look, as you go deeper into studying herbal formulas, it is so easy to get lost in just memorizing hundreds of ingredients. But please remember this, the true art of herbalism is not about memorization. It is about pattern recognition. Your real goal is to look at the patient, to understand the dynamics of their internal battlefield, and then to select the most elegant and precise strategy to help them get back to a state of balance.
Always keep this principle at the very heart of your practice. Our job is not to force the body into submission with a bunch of herbs. It is to understand and to respect the profound and inherent wisdom of the body's own defensive capabilities. We are simply helping it to do its job more effectively. Thank you.